If you're wanting to do an audit for your social media channels, I wanted just to give you a quick idea of some of the things that I would go and look at. So when I'm consulting with a nonprofit or a client and we're doing a big project together, one of the first parts of my story science method is I do this kind of diagnosis stage where I spend some time having a look at what they're doing, what they're marketing now, and really try to put on that outside perspective and hat of like, okay, they may think they're doing this, but this is actually what's happening. So some of the things I look at if I'm doing a little bit of an audit is I would make sure there's a document of all your channels. So what are all the channels we have? What is the point of all of them? Who's the target market for each of them? I always make sure that's nicely documented somewhere so everybody's really clear on what we have and how we use them. I will make sure we have really clear goals. So what is the goal for each social media channel? And then I'll use those goals to review and audit the channel and go, okay, well, how often are we creating content that directly drives a customer on a journey through a process to that goal? I often find the content can be a little bit ad hoc. We're putting lots of things out there when they occur to us, but we're not really thinking about how we're actually taking people on a journey from, I don't really know who you are, to they're actually now a donor or a volunteer or they're using your service. So you need to think about that goal process through your content. I always ask the question when I'm auditing a page, does the audience match the goal audience? So I'll look at the insights or analytics and say, okay, these are the people who are engaging now, but are they the same as the people you need to attract in order to achieve your goal? There is no point doubling down on an audience that you already have if they are not going to be part of your future growth. If you need a younger audience, start talking to your younger audience. Yeah, it might mean your engagement drops for a while because you'll lose some of the older people, but it will put you on the track to the future you want to create. I'll look at little things like our visuals, my profile photo, and see if that's the best optimized profile photo. I'll look at the header image on the account. Does it have a point? Does it have a message? Does it back up the goals or the audience? I'll look at the action buttons that might be used on the page. So if it's a Facebook account, does it have an action button to contact us? Does it just drive people to a website homepage with no point? Is it asking for a donation? I'll look at that and go, is this the best action button we could be using? I will look at the categories that the page has been set under. Different categories give you different features. If you don't have nonprofit organization as your first category and you are a nonprofit, you actually don't get access to all of the exclusive meta nonprofit features, for example. I'll look at all the different tabs and sections. So if I'm looking at Instagram, I'll be going, have you done your highlights and are they updated? If I'm looking at Facebook, I might be going, well, what tabs do you have in your menu? And if you've got things like, favorite bands and stuff like that, you don't want those. They're not relevant. We want to go through and clean that up, reduce the amount of tabs. I'll go through your settings, make sure they're optimized and up to date. Social platforms are always changing their settings. So I would give them a good scrub through and make sure they're still set up the way you want. I will look at your About Us content for each of your channels. What does it say? And is that still actually the story you want to tell? And I will go through the last probably month or two of content and go, if I was new to this and I was your ideal audience, what stories am I actually telling people? And quite often people are surprised to find that the overarching story they've told over the last few months is actually not aligned to what they thought they were doing or not aligned to their biggest priorities. I'll look at the visuals. Are they attractive? Do they show the right type of people to align with your audience? I'll look at the frequency of posting. Are we consistent? Are we posting often enough? Are we using hashtags on the wrong platforms? Are we using not enough hashtags on the right platforms? I'll compare your performance to your competitors. And I will also spend some time analyzing if you had some really top performing posts, some content that did really well, I will analyze that and go, why did that work? Was it the time of day I posted it, the day of week, the image I used? Was it the language I used? And the more you analyze these things, the more you're going to understand what actually works for your brand, for your audience, And it means every single month your content is just going to get better and better, because not only have you taken the time to optimize what you've done instead of just kind of forgetting about some of these things, you're also taking the time to really ask those important questions. I'm spending a lot of time creating all this social content. Am I actually creating content with purpose, or am I just ticking a box to say, yes, we've posted and I've done my job? That's often the case for a lot of my clients, and we need that reset to go, actually, we want our social media to deliver more people using our services, or we want our social media to deliver donors or revenue or people purchasing things, or we want to attract philanthropists or government or partners, or we want to do advocacy and talk to people that matter. Go back to that. Is that what your content is doing? And is that the story that you've been telling? So there's some tips from me on how I would process that discovery process, or a bit of an audit. So if it's been a long time since you've really stepped back and looked at your social, I hope this is really useful to give you some steps to go and do your own audit on your account and see if what you're doing is working or isn't. If you want more free content from me or access to one of my free courses, all the links are below in the comments. And of course, you can subscribe as well so you can get more of these tips as they're released. Hope you learned a lot. See you soon.